you had about him.
Yeah.
uh,
I'm going to have to apologize to Raiders fans because this is not good. I
mm.
have them losing the opener to the Patriots in week 1. Ben, what you got?
I have them beating the Patriots in week 1.
Okay. Matt, what you got?
Um, I have them losing.
All right.
Very, very, very quickly. Matt, do you want to go over additions slash losses for the Chargers?
If I skipped over that, I'm so sorry. Or the
Yeah,
Raiders, he
yeah.
means, but yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I meant. Yep.
I kind of want to like. I'm not going to be as as in depth on their last season. They're a bad football team last year, and they won 4 games last year, and they were so this is offensive EPA. It's a an efficiency metric for things like that on offensive end. They were a negative 0.131. That was 31st in the league. Only the Cleveland Browns were worse. To
Ugh.
compare that, I was interested. That is comparative to the 2021 Sam Darnold Panthers. That efficiency. That's how bad they were. They were a middle of the pack, run block and pass block team. Pass block was 17th, run block was 22nd. They were an average defense, point 016 EPA per play on the defensive end, 16th in the league. And their pass rush and run stop were both top 12. So pretty interesting there. And then their offseason. Their offseason was loaded, man. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
of course, they get a new head coach. Of course, they get a new offensive coordinator, Pete Carroll and Chip Kelly, and then new GM John Spytek from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They kept, of course, Max Crosby, and when they signed Max Crosby, it was a a massive surprise, kind of. Everyone was kind of in his trade rumors. They extend him. He is now under contract till 2030 with the Raiders. They brought back Malcolm Kuntz. They brought back Adam Butler, rotational defensive lineman. Malcolm Kuntz is a budding edge rusher who did not play last season due to, I think, a foot injury. So they kind of gave him a 1-year prove-it deal. And then Isaiah Poamau, who's kind of a rotational DB, but he's someone who played a lot. They got him for a pretty cheap contract. Now you get to the additions. The number one thing has to be the trade for Geno Smith. They gave up the 92nd pick. Ironically enough, do you guys know who became the 92nd pick in this year's draft?
Not off the top of my head.
Seattle picked Jalen Milrow with that pick.
Oh yeah.
So I think that's a fun thing to kind of follow now. They gave Geno a 2-year, $75 million extension. He's under contract till 2028, 2027. They can cut him and save $40 million. There's no guarantees into that, so the extension kind of is a 1-year extension in a way. And then you get to their free agency. Jeremy Chin, Alex Kappa, Eric Stokes, Landon Roberts, and a ton more of these vet 1-year minimum guys. Raheem Mostert is one of them. I can't even think of the rest of them off the top of my head. That's how minuscule and needle moving they are. And before, the Eagles got Zach Bond. I'm not projecting that with with these veterans that they got. Of course, their draft, they take Ashton Genty with the 6th overall pick, whatever. Jack Besh, late 2nd round. Darian Porter, a corner out of Iowa State. Caleb Rogers, offensive lineman. They state him as an offensive lineman. He had over 60 starts at Texas Tech. And then Charles Grant. And then I'm not going to throw in many day 3 players, but Dante Thornton was someone I loved. They got him early round 4. That was interesting.
Yes.
And then their departures were so insane. Traven Merrick, they let walk to Carolina. He played 1,000. He played over 1,000 snaps last year. Nate Hobbs, they let walk for 4 years, $48 million to Green Bay. He played over 500 snaps and he played over 700 the year before. Robert Spillane, 34 starts, 2,200 snaps, 200 tackles. He goes to New England. They
Gone.
just let him leave. Divine
Gone.
Diablo played almost 700 snaps last year. Kaylavon Chason, whatever we believe of Kaylavon Chason at this point, he was a guy who had 29 pressures on 300 pass rush snaps last year, and New England signed him for basically a vet minimum. And then lastly, Andre
Yep.
James, their center. He's not that good, but he's played almost 4,000 snaps over the last 4 years for them, and they let him walk. And that brings me to my question, the season outlook question with the Raiders. What the hell is the timeline that's being created right now? What am I supposed to believe about the Raiders? They hire the oldest coach in football, the oldest offensive coordinator. I looked it up. It's Chip Kelly. They
That's
traded a
shocking.
top 100 pick for Geno Smith, who turns 34 in October. They drafted a running back at 6, and they let all the prime, like the free agents entering their prime or the guys in their prime, someone like Spillane who's 30 but still playing at a high level, they let all those guys walk and just signed a bunch of stopgap veterans for 1-year deals. The only one, like Jeremy Chin, is the richest non-free agent or outside the building free agent they signed, 2 years, $16 million. And you can't come to me and say they didn't have money. They were second behind only the Patriots.
Yeah.
So, what am I supposed to believe that your timeline is with this team? Because this roster is not good enough to compete. And you made moves early enough when they traded for Geno. I was like, okay, they're going to be aggressive in free agency. And they were the exact opposite. It's a very weird offseason. It's a very weird first offseason that I have seen in a while. But yeah, let's get into schedule predictions because I'm interested to see where you guys view the Raiders as opposed to where I possibly view the Raiders.
Yes.
I'm going to start us off just firing out of a cannon. And I know we, briefly covered one of the games, but I'm just going to start fresh. I have them losing the first 5 matchups.
Mm-hmm.
1 against
Wow.
the Patriots, 1 against the Chargers, 1 against the Commanders, 1 against the Bears, 1 against the Colts. They're starting 0-5 in my book. Not great. Ben, anything
That's
different? What you got?
crazy. Yeah, no, I actually have them winning 3 of their first 5. I have them beating the Patriots, beating the Chargers, losing the Commanders, losing to the Bears, and beating the Colts.
Okay. All right. Interesting that you had my team lose. What the heck? Just kidding.
What? No, I have them losing to the Bears.
I thought that you just said beating the Bears. Did you say beating the Colts?
Beating the Colts, correct.
Gotcha. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I knew it was one or the other. I apologize.
Yeah,
Matt. Yeah.
I can ramble off some weeks. I think they're going to lose their first 4 weeks. I think they're going to lose to the Patriots. They're going to lose on Monday Night Football to an outmatched Chargers team. I think they're going to lose to the Commanders. I think they're going to lose to Ryan's Chicago Bears. And then I think they're going to beat the Indianapolis Colts. And then that's kind of where we're all set up. Or should I go all the way to the bye?
Let's go through the bye.
Yeah, go to the bye. Yeah.
Because it's not that hard because they're going to lose 2 more times.
Yeah.
Okay. No,
So,
I have them
yeah.
beating the Titans and losing to the Chiefs. So I have them starting off a nice, cool 4-3 at this point.
So, Matt, just to make sure, did you have, just putting it down for my record, did you have them losing to the Colts as well? I think you did, right?
I had them beating the Colts. That is
Beating
their
the
only
Colts.
win in the first
Okay.
7 weeks for me. Is beating the Colts.
Okay. All right, cool. All right, so at that bye week, I have them at 1, let's see. Yeah, I have them at 1-6 as well as Matt. Ben, what do you have them at?
Yeah, I have them at 4-3. So I guess I'm the high man on the Raiders.
Next up, against the Jaguars at home, I have them actually winning that game. Ben?
I have them losing that game.
Okay. Matt?
I have them losing that game.
Okay. Let's see. All right. And then in Denver against the Broncos, as we covered before, but just to review, I have them losing that game. Ben?
Correct. Yep, losing that game.
All right. Matt?
The Denver game,
Yep.
I had them losing both Denver games.
Cool. All right. losing the game at home against the Cowboys as well. Ben?
Yes, the Cowboys are the Cowboys are definitely the better team. If Dak is healthy and their core is healthy, I would be shocked if this is a game.
Yep. Matt?
I have them beating Dallas,
Okay.
and then I have them
I
beating
have them-
Cleveland too.
Yeah.
Yes,
I was going to say,
Yep.
I have the same thing. And then I have them losing against the Chargers.
Yes, I have them losing at Chargers. Despite I wouldn't be shocked if the stadium gets taken over by Raiders fans. That's just that's what happens whenever you're playing road game against the Chargers. But I do have them losing to the Chargers.
Matt?
Yeah, I have them losing to the Chargers, and then Week 14 against Denver. Like, this is what is that 3-10 going into December, pretty much.
Yeah. I believe so.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Let's just round it out. Matt, what do you have after that?
I have them losing to Philly. I have them losing to Houston. I have them beating New York, and I have them losing to Kansas City. I have them finishing with the same exact record that they had last year at 4-13.
Wow.
All
Okay.
I
have
actually had
them-
the same exact thing. Yeah, just putting it out there, 4-13 as well.
I have the same schedule: losing to the Eagles, losing to the Texans, beating the Giants, losing to the Chiefs. But I have them finishing 7-10, so I have them winning 3 more games than you guys do. Maybe I'm just high on Ashton GT in that run game that they can create. But I do think they do have a good, solid offensive line. You bring in a veteran quarterback who we all ranked as a decent starter, and an actual good running back, and they did add to the wide receiver room with Jack Betch and Dante Thornton. It's hard for me to see them not improving at least a little bit as to where they were at with the improved quarterback play. Again, better running game, and Christian Wilkins is going to be fully healthy this year, and you can't even begin to try to quantify what that impact is going to have on that team as well.
Yep. So that'll do it for the Raiders schedule.